Hello friends, I welcome you all to this 12th video series on law of evidence. In this session, we will be looking after section 8 of Indian Evidence Act. As usual, before proceeding further, let us have a brief overview as to what all we are going to see in this session. So first of all, we will look after the Bare Act provision, which is very important. Then we will see the modes which have been relevant, and as is our usual practice, I will give you an acronym PCM. You must be knowing physics, chemistry, biology. It is a combination of subject which medical students take in 10 plus 2. Thereafter, we will have a detailed discussion on motive. This will be followed by as to what is preparation, then the meaning of conduct, and thereafter we will see statement and conduct as to which statements are relevant under section 8. Then we will also see a difference between complaint and statement. This is very important from the point of view of section 8, and we will also see a case law based on which many a times question has been asked either in preliminary examination or in mains examination. Thereafter, we will see one very important question, that whether tape recorded evidence is admissible in court or not. And if it is admissible, then what are the prior conditions under which it will be admissible? Thereafter, another important question, and more so in these days, is whether evidence can be recorded by video conferencing. This also we will see along with its relevant case law, as it has been asked many a times in the examination. And then, as is our practice, we will have a quick recap of what all we had studied in this session. So let's begin. So in chapter 2, section 8 mentions about motive, preparation, and previous or subsequent conduct. So three things: one is motive, another is preparation, and then third is conduct, which can be previous or which can be subsequent to the fact in issue or relevant fact. So any fact, as we have seen, fact has been defined under section 3 as anything, state of things or relation of thing, and any fact of which a person is conscious of. It can be external, it can be internal. Is relevant. We have already seen the definition of the term relevant, that a thing is said to be relevant when it is connected logically as well as legally, as given under the chapter 2, which shows or constitutes a motive or preparation for any fact in issue or relevant fact. Then the conduct of any party or of any agent to any party to any suit or proceeding in reference to such suit or proceeding, or in reference to any fact in issue therein or relevant thereto, and the conduct of any person, an offense against whom is subject of any proceeding, is relevant if such conduct influences or is influenced by any fact in issue or relevant fact, whether it was previous or subsequent thereto. So what it says is that conduct is also relevant. That conduct can be previous or it can be subsequent, that is before the event or after the event. Now, but that conduct should be influenced by, or that conduct should influence any fact in issue or relevant fact, and that conduct should be of any party or an agent or any person against whom proceeding is going on. Then there are two explanations which are attached to section 8, and these explanations are very important, as it says that generally this conduct does not include statements. So if the answer question is whether the conduct includes statement, then the answer to it is that the conduct does not include statement. However, there are two exceptions to it unless those statements accompany and explain acts. So if that statement accompany and explain the conduct, then that it will be relevant. Other than the statement, but this explanation is not to affect the relevancy of statements under any other section of this act. So what it says is that a statement generally is not relevant. However, if it accompany or explain the conduct, then certainly it will be relevant. Then explanation 2, it says that when conduct of any person is relevant, any statement made to him or in his presence and hearing which affects such conduct is relevant. So one statement which accompany and explain the conduct is also relevant. And second, explanation 2 says that those statements which are said in presence and hearing and which affects the conduct are also relevant. So generally statements are not relevant, but two types of statement have been made relevant under section 8. One which accompany and explain conduct, and another which is said in presence and hearing and affects the conduct. There are certain important illustrations attached to this section, and these illustrations we will see once we go through the meaning of the terms motive, preparation, conduct, etc. So let's begin our explanation to section 8. So friends, as we have already studied that section 8 is a part of the concept of res gestae. That is, things or acts which are part of same transaction of a fact in issue or relevant fact are also relevant. So it also contains certain things which have been mentioned or which are a part of same transaction. It makes an express provision regarding those. Now, what are those things about which it makes an elaboration? That for that, to remember it, I have made an acronym, as I have told, PCM, physics, chemistry, mathematics, which is the combination of subject which is generally taken by medical students after 10 plus 2. So P stands for preparation, C stands for conduct, M stands for motive, and S stands for statement. But statement alone will not be relevant. What is relevant is statement along with the conduct which accompany or explains it or which affects it. So these are the modes of facts or modes of facts which are connected with fact in issue or relevant fact as under section 8 which have been made relevant. So if a thing is connected with fact in issue or relevant fact by any of these four modes, then it becomes relevant under section 8 of Indian Evidence Act. Now let us see the term motive, which is our first thing mentioned under section 8. So what is motive? Friends, motive is that thing which induces a person to act in certain manner. The moving force, the very force which impels a person to act or to uh, work in certain manner, that force is called motive. So motive is that which induces a person to act in certain manner. Now, many a times in interview it has been asked that what is the difference between motive and intention? Friends, the two terms are very closely connected, because if we see the fact, as we have seen, fact means thing, state of thing, or relation of thing which can be perceived by our senses, or thing of which a person is conscious of. So external as well as internal facts are there. Now these motive as well as intention are part of internal facts. Now, what is the difference between both of them? So, there is a minute difference between motive and intention. So, motive is the ultimate purpose, the very basic reasoning behind doing an act, while intention is the immediate consequence, what the person wants immediately or to achieve from his particular act. So, motive is the ultimate purpose and intention is the immediate consequence. So, first, if we see, there will be motive and then motive will shape the intention. For example, if there is a person and he sees there is a tiger who is going to attack another person. Now, what he does is that he fires, and because of his shooting, this tiger runs away, and the bullet actually causes injury to this second person and he dies. Now, in this case, the motive or the ultimate purpose of this person is to save the life of the injured from the tiger. But the intention would be to kill the tiger. So, the motive is to save this person, and the intention is to kill the tiger when he is shooting at it. But the consequence is something other than what he intended, something other than what was his motive. Rather, it is something which was against his motive. So, that is what is the difference between motive and intention. Now, how do we prove motive? So, as we have seen that motive is an internal fact, and internal facts are proved through circumstantial evidences, because there cannot be a direct evidence to prove internal fact. We do not have lock and key arrangement wherein we can open the brain of a person and see that what is his motive, what is his intention. We will have to take it from the circumstantial evidences. Now, what are those circumstantial evidences? So, one is the conduct of person. So, from the conduct of person, we can find out that what was his motive. Another is the events preceding the act. Those events which has prompted a person to act in particular manner can also give us a hint as to what was the motive of the person who was acting in that particular manner. Now, one important case law is there on motive, which I want you to know, and if possible, write it in examination. So, this is called the State of MP versus Dhirendra Kumar. Now, in this case, the facts were that the accused was a tenant and he had an evil eye on one Munnibai. Munnibai is the victim, the deceased. Now, as the accused has an evil eye on Munnibai, and Munnibai told this to her mother-in-law, and mother-in-law in turn told it to her Munnibai's father-in-law. The father-in-law was the landlord, and he asked his tenant, the accused, to vacate the house. Now, this can be one of the motive of the murder which the accused did of Munnibai. So, as he was asked to vacate his house, this prompted him to kill Munnibai. So, this is what is the case law on motive. So, we have seen what is motive. Thereafter, we saw the difference between motive and intention. Thereafter, we saw how to prove the motive and the case law on motive. But one very important precaution which you should take in mind is that motive in itself is not sufficient for conviction. Mind you, friends, motive is not in itself sufficient for conviction. If it is proved, yet not. If it is disproved, yet it will not be sufficient for acquittal if other proofs are there. And one more thing, that the term motive has been mentioned under section 8. This you should remember, because the word knowledge, intention, these all have been mentioned under section 14. So many a times they ask, like, which of the following term is not mentioned under section 14, and they put motive along with knowledge, intention. Now as these are part of the same type of facts, that is internal fact, so sometimes we get confused on it. Now let us see the third thing, that is the preparation. So preparation has been defined under Maine's criminal law, in which he says that it is the means and measures necessary for offense. That is, those means and those measures which are necessary for carrying out an offense. For example, the accused hired a revolver a few days before the murder. So that is the preparation. If he has to do murder, then certainly he will need a weapon for it. And the fact that he had hired a revolver just a few days before murder will certainly be a part of means and measures necessary for offense. That is, it will be a part of the preparation. Then conduct, which is the fourth one. Now conduct is the outward behavior of what a person does and what a person omits to do. That is, what he does and what he does not do. All these are parts of the conduct. Now, whose conduct are relevant? The conduct of every person is not relevant. Under section 8, they have particularly mentioned that only conduct of certain persons are relevant, and those are any person who is party to the proceeding, for example, plaintiff, defendant, the accused, the victim. These all are party to the proceeding, and their conduct will certainly be relevant. Then the agent of the parties and interested party at the time when the fact occurred. It's not that the conduct of interested parties will be at any time conduct will be relevant. Only those conducts which were at the time when the fact occurred will be relevant under section 8. Now we have seen motive, we have seen preparation, we have seen conduct. Now we will see another important thing which are part of explanation 1 and explanation 2 of section 8, that is a statement followed by conduct, or a statement which influences the conduct. So as such, again I repeat, statements are not relevant, but those statements which explain and accompany the conduct, or those which influences and affects the conduct, are relevant. Now, one of the example is that suppose a person is running on road in a wounded condition and he is calling out the name of assailant, that A has hit me, A has hit me, and he is bleeding all around his body. Then certainly, as it is a part which explain and accompany his conduct, then this statement that A has hit me will be relevant. So a person running on road in a wounded condition calling out the name of assailant is relevant because it explains and accompanies the conduct under explanation 1 of section 8. It will be relevant. Then explanation 2 says that those statement which influences and affects the conduct which is said in his presence and hearing, and which influences and affects the conduct, is also relevant. Now one important case law on it is that of State of Madras versus Vaidnath Iyer. Now in this case there was a government officer and it was complained to the police that he has asked for a bribe. So what police did is that they made a trap witness, and the trap witness went to the accused house and offered bribe. At the same time, police officer was prompted and a raid was conducted on the house of the accused. Now when the police officer asked, "Have you accepted the bribe?" then the accused was in a confused state of mind and he started apologizing. Now this thing, this conduct was influenced and affected by this statement of police officer that "Have you accepted the bribe?" So as this statement influences and affects the conduct of accused, So it becomes relevant under Section 8 of Indian Evidence Act. Now, what is the difference between simple statement and complaint? Friends, this is a very tricky question and has been asked in preliminary examination as well as mains examination many a time. So please understand it. So simple statement and complaint, the difference is that as to with what view the statement is being made. In simple statement, the view is just communicating the event, while in complaint, the view or the purpose is to redress and punish the accused. So, simple statement, it is just a way through which the purpose is just to communicate the event to third party, and in complaint, the purpose is to redress or punish the guilty. And then to whom it is made? In simple statement, it is made to anyone, while complaint is made to a person in authority. Now there is one important, very important case law, and that has also been asked number of times, so please remember it. Queen Empress versus Abdullah. Now in this case, the facts was there was a person accused called Abdullah. What he did is that he, with a razor, he cut the throat of a prostitute. Now, the prostitute was hospitalized, and as her throat was cut, so she was unable to speak. And whatever was answered, she was answering by sign of the hands. So, whenever a question was asked to her, it was only through sign language of hands that she was able to answer. So, when the persons tried to know from her as to who had actually assaulted her, who had cut her throat, then when the name of Abdullah was mentioned to her, then she made an affirmative sign with her hands. Now, thereafter, later on, she died. Based on her this affirmative sign of hands, Abdullah was arrested and prosecution was started against him. Now the question was whether the sign of hands made by the victim is relevant under Section 8 of Indian Evidence Act against Abdullah as a part of statement which influences the conduct. Now the court held that it is not applicable. Why it is not applicable? Because the conduct is not directly influenced by fact in issue or relevant fact. Rather, it is prompted by the question of a third person. Therefore, this statement is not relevant under Section 8 because it is not influenced directly by fact in issue or relevant fact. It may be relevant under Section 32 as a dying declaration. So, but there is one important thing in it is that Justice Mehmood, who was there as a part of the bench, so he gave a dissenting view and he said that it can be regarded under Section 8 because the act of disease moving her hand in answer to the question and the act of a person running away when told that police were coming are almost same because both are conduct which affects and influence by a person who is told about it by a third person that look, police is coming to catch a person who had done the crime, and after hearing this a person starts running. Now this is a conduct which is influenced by the statement made by a third person in his presence and hearing, and therefore this conduct is relevant. Similarly, Justice Mehmood said, as this statement has been made by a third person that whether Abdullah has assaulted you, but as it is made, as it is in the conduct is influenced by this question, therefore it is relevant. However, the majority held that it is not relevant under Section 8 because the conduct is not influenced by directly by fact in issue or relevant fact. Now, another question which has been asked many a times is that whether tape recorded evidence is admissible. Friends, in this age of technology, tape recording is one of the most important tools which is used for recording evidence. Then the court in R.M. Malkani versus State of Maharashtra held that yes, tape recorded evidence are admissible. It was also a case where a demand for bribe was made by a government official and a trap witness was fixed, and through that trap witness, the whatever the conversation took place regarding the demand of the bribe was tape recorded, and it was based on it prosecution was started, and it was the tape recorded evidence was allowed to be admissible as evidence by the court. But there is one very important corollary that is attached to it, that this tape recorded evidence should be properly preserved. If it is not properly preserved, it will not be admissible. This was held in case of Ram Singh versus Colonel Ram Singh. In this case, what happened is that the person in authority tape recorded the evidence and gave it to her steno without proper sealing, and therefore as it was not properly preserved, it was held not to be admissible. The court held that properly preserved basically means two things: that it should be without tampering, that it should be preserved in such a manner that no one can tamper with it, that it should be properly sealed, and then it should be in proper custody. It should not be in like custody which we cannot account for. So a tape recorded evidence is admissible as has been held in the R.M. Malkani versus State of Maharashtra, but it should be properly preserved as has been held in case of Ram Singh versus Colonel Ram Singh. Then, whether evidence can be recorded by video conferencing. Friend, this is very important question because section 273 of CRPC says that evidence should be recorded in presence of the accused. Now, in video conferencing, it was contended that as the accused is not in the presence of the court, so how can evidence be recorded through video conferencing? Because the witness is not in front of the accused. So the evidence is being recorded in absence of the accused. So it is against it is the violation of section 273 of CRPC. In Prafulla B. Desai versus the State of Maharashtra, it was held that yes, evidence can be recorded by video conferencing. That is, the witness may be answering the question through video conferencing, and that will be not a violation of section 273. The court said that this is because section 273 of criminal procedure contemplates two types of presence, that is the presence of accused in the court or the presence of the pleader of the accused. So it is not that only the actual presence is recognized under section 273, but constructive presence is also recognized under section 273. Now through video conferencing, this constructive presence is ensured, and therefore evidence can be recorded by video conferencing. The facts of the case in this Prafulla B. Desai versus State of Maharashtra is that there was a patient who was suffering from cancer. Now this patient, actually what she did is that she consulted a doctor in USA, Dr. Greenberg. And this doctor, he said that operation cannot be performed on her, and if operation is performed, she would die because the cancer is of such a stage that operation cannot be performed. So what they did is that they consulted another doctor, and that doctor said that that she can be operated upon. Now this person, the accused, was informed about the view of Dr. Greenberg, that Dr. Greenberg has said that operation cannot be performed and it will be fatal for the patient. Yet the accused operated the patient and the patient died. So when the case was brought against the accused, the evidence of Dr. Greenberg was to be given as prosecution evidence. Now, Dr. Greenberg was in USA and he cannot be asked to come to Indian court without undue delay or expense. So, what prosecution said is that we want to give his evidence through video conferencing. But the accused party or the defense said that that would not be admissible because under section 273 of CRPC, evidence should be given in presence of the accused. Then the court said that section 273 contemplates the both actual as well as constructive presence of the accused, and this would be the constructive presence, and therefore video conferencing can be allowed. So evidence can be recorded by video conferencing. Now a quick recap of what all we have done in this session. So we saw that Bare Act provision. Here I want to just read out certain illustrations once again. So where A is tried for murder of B, the fact that A murdered C and B knew that A had murdered C and B had tried to extort money from A by threatening to make his knowledge public are relevant. So there is a person A and he has killed a person called C. Now B had the knowledge of this fact and B tried to extort money out of A. Now this will, and the question is whether A murdered B or not. Now this thing that B had the knowledge that A murdered C and B tried to extort money out of A, then that would act as a motive for the murder of B by A. Then another is that A is tried for murder of B by poison. So A is accused that he has killed B by giving poison. Then the fact that before the death of B, A procured poison similar to that which was administered to B is relevant. So the thing that before the death of B, A had purchased the poison, and the poison which A had purchased was the same or was having the same or was producing the same symptoms from which B suffered before his death. So that will provide a type of preparation. Then the question is that whether A robbed B. The fact that after B was robbed, C said in A's presence, the police are coming to look for the man who robbed B, and that immediately afterwards A ran away are relevant. So if there is a person and the question is that whether this person 1 has robbed person 2, and this person 3 says that police is coming to look for the man who robbed the victim. Now A runs away after hearing this statement of person 3. Now this statement is relevant, or this conduct is also relevant, because this conduct is influenced by the statement which is said in his presence and hearing, and which is a part of fact in issue or relevant fact. Then the question is whether A committed a crime. The fact that A absconded after receiving a letter warning him that inquiry was being made for the criminal and the contents of the letter are relevant. So a letter is written to A that enquiry is being conducted for the person who has committed the crime, and A runs away or absconds after it, then these are relevant. The content of the letter is also relevant. Now, A is accused of crime. The fact that after commission of alleged crime, he absconded or was in possession of property or the proceeds of property acquired by the crime, or attempted to conceal things which were or might have been used in committing it are relevant. So, where a person is accused of the crime and what he does is that either he runs away or he is in possession of the property through which the crime property against which the crime has been committed, or he attempts to conceal those things, then those things are also relevant as a part of conduct subsequent to the fact in issue or relevant fact. Now these two illustrations J and K are very important. The question is whether A was ravished. Now here we will learn the difference between the word statement and conduct. The fact that shortly after the alleged rape, she made a complaint relating to crime, the circumstances under which and the terms in which the complaint was made are relevant. So, if A is raped and A makes a complaint, then the circumstances, the terms, all these are relevant. But the fact that without making a complaint, she said that she had been ravished is not relevant as conduct under this section, though it may be relevant as dying declaration under section 32. So if she has made a complaint, it will be relevant. But if she has not made a complaint, rather she has just made a statement, then that will not be relevant under section 8. Though that may be relevant under section 32, that may be a corroborative evidence under section 157. Many a time this question has been asked as to when this will be or under which section this fact will be relevant. Then on similar line it is K. The question is whether A was robbed. The fact that soon after, so see in both shortly after, soon after, so it's not that ad infinitum, it's those which are closely connected. The alleged robbery, he made a complaint relating to the offense. The circumstances under which, the terms in which the complaint was made are relevant. So if A is robbed and shortly after he is robbed, he makes a complaint, then that complaint is relevant. The fact that he said that he has been robbed without making any complaint. So he says that he has been robbed, but he does not make any complaint. Mind you, we have learned the difference between a statement and complaint. Is not relevant as conduct under this section, though it may be relevant as dying declaration under section 32 or as corroborative evidence under section 157. So, if he makes a complaint, it will be relevant under this section. If he just makes a statement without making complaint, it will be not relevant under this section, though it may be relevant under section 32 or section 157. So we saw that section 8 of Indian Evidence Act makes 4 types of things relevant if they are connected with fact in issue or relevant fact through preparation, through conduct, through motive, or through a statement followed by conduct which accompany or explain it or which affects or influences it. Then motive, we saw that motive is the inducing force for a person to act in a certain manner. Then the difference between motive and intention is that motive is the ultimate purpose while intention is the immediate consequence. Then motive is proved through circumstantial evidence by the conduct of the person or events preceding the act, and we saw the case law of a state of MP versus Dhirendra Kumar. But motive in itself is not sufficient for conviction. Then we saw that preparation means the measures necessary for carrying out the offense, and conduct is the outward behavior as to what a person does and what a person does not does. And the conduct of any person or their agent or interested party when at the time when fact occurred are relevant. As far as statement are concerned, statement per se are not relevant under this section. However, statement when they are followed or which explain or accompany the conduct are relevant. Statement which is said in presence and hearing, which influences or affects the conduct, are also relevant, as we saw in the case of state of Maharashtra, state of Madras versus Vaidnath Iyer. Then the difference between simple statement and complaint is that statement is made only with a purpose of communicating the event. Complaint is made with a purpose to redress and punish the guilty. Then simple statement is made to anyone, while complaint is made to a person in authority. Now, we saw that in case of Queen Empress versus Abdullah, the fact that the victim answered by sign of hands on the question of a third person was held not relevant under this section. Then we saw that under tape recorded evidence is admissible provided it is properly preserved, as has been held in case of R.M. Malkani versus State of Maharashtra and Ram Singh versus Colonel Ram Singh. Then evidence can be recorded by video conferencing, as has been held in case of Prafull B. Desai versus the State of Maharashtra, because Section 273 of CRPC contemplates both the actual presence of the accused as well as the constructive presence of the accused through the pleader. That's all for today, and thank you.